Did you know that Hebrew was a dead language and then it came back? It's literally the only language out of thousands of dead languages that came back. The only one. It's insane. And actually, it kind of changed my view because generally I read the Masoretic text. And now I'm starting to believe that the Catholics have something right. They are reading the Septuagint text. And that's quite nice because I do disagree on Catholics with some things. But that's quite nice because yeah, they're reading the Septuagint, the original text. The Masoretic was not the oldest text. In fact, the Masoretic was actually just edited later by Jews, and these Jews were Jewish rabbis that didn't want any association with Christianity whatsoever because they felt like the Christians kind of took their original book, which is the Greek Septuagint, and they took it and they made it their own. And there was a lot of references of Yehoshua, the Messiah, the second coming of the Messiah that was prophesied in the Tanakh, that or the Old Testament, that they didn't want to be related with Judaism because they didn't accept Yehoshua. They didn't want to accept that this is the real Messiah because, you know, it's just the way that it is. But yeah, this is the reason. And actually, the Jewish people right now, because I have classes with them so I can talk to them as an ESL teacher, the Jewish people, they are also reading the Masoretic text. So they're reading the edited version where a lot of Yehoshua's predictions and a lot of the similarities of the sort of New Testament of Yehoshua, the prophecies fulfilled, was taken out so that it doesn't seem like it is Jesus, so that they would stay in away from Jesus, basically, away from their second coming of the Messiah. So this is completely crazy. I don't think all the books in the Septuagint, the Greek Septuagint, is legit, but for sure there are books that are like legitimate, like the Maccabees, which is like literally historical. It's insane. So okay, I'm going to share with you how the Hebrew language died completely and then came back to life. Crazy. Yes, ancient biblical Hebrew did mostly fade out of everyday use after the Babylonian exile around 586 BC. Here's how it happened. Hebrew gradually stopped being spoken. After Babylon conquered Judah and sent the Jews into exile, Aramaic, the empire's language, became the common tongue. By that time of Jesus, most Jews spoke Aramaic in daily life in Israel, Greek in the wider world, Greek Empire and then Roman Empire. Hebrew was mostly used by scholars and priests for religious texts, not in daily speech. And they are the ones that like edited the Masoretic text so that Jesus wouldn't be so connected because they didn't want to be a part of Christianity, these scholars. So yeah, spoken Hebrew died out as a daily language but survived in religious study. The Old Testament still existed in Hebrew. Even though it wasn't spoken much, the Torah and prophets were carefully preserved in Hebrew by scribes. This is what led to the Masoretic text, 7th to 10th century AD, not the oldest text. This is the KJV, the NASB, the Jewish text that the Jews read today. Jewish scribes preserved the Hebrew scriptures and added vowels, points, so future generations could still read it. So the original Hebrew Bible never disappeared, but people stopped speaking Hebrew in real life for many centuries. How did Hebrew come back, the language? This is incredible. It's the only example in the history of a dead language being revived into everyday use. Who brought it back? A man named Eliezer ben Yehuda, late 1800s to early 1900s, a Jewish linguist who believed Hebrew should be revived as a modern spoken language for the Jewish homeland. He raised his own son speaking only Hebrew, the first native speaker in 2,000 years. He created new Hebrew words for modern things like train, electricity, and paper. He helped make modern Hebrew the national language of Israel today. Can you imagine raising your son in a dead language that nobody else can speak just so that the language revives? Like, what commitment? It's crazy. There's a song about him as well, and very popular in Israel, like Eliezer, because he brought Hebrew back. Today, Hebrew is now spoken by millions in Israel. It's taught in schools, in the government, media, everyday life. Modern Hebrew is different from biblical Hebrew, like the difference between Shakespearean English and modern English. So it's really insane. But generally, they did completely edit the Masoretic text, the NASB, KJV, and stuff that we know today. So the Septuagint is the more original version, basically, for Jews and for Christians. And like both of us don't know it except the Catholic Church, right? So if you want to feel more comfortable into looking at the Greek Septuagint, you have to just know that when Hebrew died, the Jews were scattered all around the earth and they went to Greece. And they asked the Greece scribes, this was even before Jesus were born, to just give them the Torah in Greek because they still want to follow the Torah, but they just can't speak Hebrew anymore. So they did it for them, and they exactly that's how we preserved the oldest scripture of the Old Testament, of the Tanakh and the Torah. So basically, to also feel more comfortable to start reading the Greek Septuagint, you can also just think about that, and then also just know that there are like thousands of references, hundreds or thousands, can't remember, of references in the New Testament that you are reading today, the KJV, NASB, whatever, that is also referencing the Greek Septuagint. So it's insane. And actually, I have like some of the verses, it's completely similar basically. So there's no difference, but some words are a little bit different, and it makes a big difference in understanding what the original text actually means, because some of the words has been changed, and it's really good to reference it. So I still read the KJV, but I reference the Septuagint, and now I'm also reading the extra books, because there are a lot of extra books that I do think in the Apocrypha, and I think Apocrypha, it just means like not accepted or something like that. But basically there's a lot of books like the Maccabees and things like that that are literally historical, that literally happened in history. So it's worth reading it and just checking if it's viable with the main core of Christianity and like the Gospels and things like that. Yeah, for example, my husband, he thinks only Maccabees 1 is the legit one because there are too much changes in the others. I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, the Apocrypha is also, there's a lot of books like Tobit, Judith, Sirach, Baruch, Maccabees. So I'm starting to read all of them now, and this is insane. This has changed like my whole perspective on things. It's awesome. Yeah, so what do you think about it? Please like and subscribe. Do you read this Greek Septuagint, the Masoretic text, which is KJV, NASB, or Jewish text? Yeah, let me know. Thank you. Bye.